In this lesson, we will be learning about perimeter and area. Perimeter is the measure of the distance around a shape. So if I wanted to build a fence around this rectangle, I would need to know the distance or perimeter in order to know how long to build my fence. So if I want to know the perimeter of rectangle ABCD, I need to find the sum of the lengths of the sides. So I know that there are 4 sides in my rectangle and that opposite sides are congruent in length. So AB has a measure of 7, and so DC is also going to have a measure of 7. And AC has a measure of 5, so because BD is congruent to AC, it is also going to have a measure of 5. So now that I know the lengths of the sides, I need to find the sum. So all I need to do is add them together. So 7 plus 7 plus 5 plus 5 is 24. So the perimeter of ABCD is 24. Now let's look at the perimeter of a square, which is slightly different. So the question is, if a square has a perimeter of 36, what is the length of each of the sides? So in a square, I also have 4 sides, but instead of opposite sides being equal, all 4 sides are equal. So if AB has a value of x, all the other 3 sides are also going to have a value of x. So because there are 4 sides, the formula for perimeter of a square is 4x. Going back to the question, I can see that the perimeter of this square is 36, so I would need to put 4x equals 36, because 4 times whatever x is equal to is going to be 36. So if I have 4x equals 36, I'm going to divide each side by 4 in order to isolate x. So 4x divided by 4 is just x, and 36 divided by 4 is 9. So I have x equals 9, so that means that the length of each of these sides is going to be 9 if the perimeter of the square is 36. Now let's look at area. Area is the measure of how much space is inside of a shape. Let's go back to a rectangle. So another way we can think about this is if we had a 1 by 1 square, we would want to know how many of these squares could fit inside of this rectangle. So I could go through and add each of the squares individually and count them all, but that's going to take a long time. But another way that I can find area is by taking the dimensions of the square and multiplying it by another dimension. So I know that the measure of AB, or the dimension of this side of the square, is 7, and AC is 5, so I can multiply 5 times 7 to find the area. 5 times 7 is 35. So that means that the area of ABCD is 35. Let's take a look at the area of a square. So I have my square, and since all 4 sides are equivalent, if I take the dimension of one side and multiply it by the dimension of the other side, I'm essentially just squaring it. And that's actually where this term came from, because the term squared comes from finding the area of a square, because you're squaring one of the dimensions. So 2 squared is 4, so that means that the area of this, it's not a triangle, it's a square. The area of this square is 4. Now let's look at another perimeter question. If there was a fence around the outside of the square, how many feet long would it be? So I know that all 4 of my sides are going to be equal to one side, or they're all going to be equal to each other. So if AB is equal to 9, and I know that the formula of a perimeter of a square is 4x, I can just take 4 times 9, because 9 is going to be equal to x. So 4 times 9 is 36. I need to verify this, so I can take 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9, 9 added 4 times, because we're multiplying by 4, and there's 4 sides, so we're going to add them all together. And that's also equal to 36. So that means that the perimeter of a square, ABCD, is 36. So if I need to build a fence around the outside of this square, it would be 36 feet long. Let's look at another area question. What is the area of rectangle ABCD? So I've got ABCD, and I need to remember that area is the measure of what is inside of this rectangle, and I need to remember my little 1 by 1 square, and that I need to measure how many of these are going to fit into this. So I know that the dimension of one side of the rectangle is 8, and the dimension of another is 7, so I can take 7 times 8, and that's 56. I'm going to verify that by taking 56 divided by 7, and that's equal to 8. So, therefore, I know that the area of rectangle ABCD is going to be 56. Oops, it's all going away. All right, just to recap, the perimeter is the measure of the distance around a shape, whereas area is the measure of the space inside of a shape.